This is Sergeant Willett. I actually like Sergeant Willett. I haven't had a lot of interactions with him, but a few. He seems professional and friendly, and courteous enough, and seems like he does his job. Though someone told me that ball cops are more aggressive, but who knows. Sergeant Willett doesn't seem cowardly to me, but his department's recent approach is, in my opinion, cowardly. I'm sure some of them are thankful that they don't have to change their panties from pissing in them constantly due to fear of my asking their question and them feeling on the spot to answer it. How dare I ask that, right? But some might actually be brave enough to answer if they didn't feel prohibited from doing so. You'll understand during the video, and if you want to listen to the ending opinions, comments, and beliefs. Sergeant Willett, like most wearing a badge in this area, probably fears having much contact with me, considering I'm generally considered the bad guy and or a criminal for my refusal to back down and willingness to call things out as I see them, while shouting for actual accountability from those claiming to be public servants. But hey, what do I know, right? You decide for yourselves. Off we go. Can I get your name and badge number, please?
Yeah, Anthony Willett, 136.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
All right. Hey, listen. If you were ordered to go door to door, person to person, unconstitutionally, contrary to people's rights, and confiscate firearms, and that was your order coming from your sheriff, would you comply with that order?
I can't give any statements on camera about that, man. I can't answer that question.
You can't answer that question?
No, sir, I cannot.
Well, that's new.
Yeah, that is it's actually part of our policy. We can't give statements on that, so.
You can't give statements on it?
No, sir.
Can I get your name and badge number?
Deputy Cobb, badge number 140.
The two of you were on your way to Disney once.
Yeah, this is my retarded friend, and he wants to go to Disneyland. Why you want to go to Disneyland, man?
Disneyland.
Where? I love the way he says it. Say that again.
Disneyland.
Well, just so you can give the same answer he did so I can get it on camera. If you were ordered to unconstitutionally confiscate firearms from law-abiding citizens, either going door to door or person to person, would you comply with that order?
No comment.
No comment? Thank you. I know some hate it when I do this, but I'm doing it anyway. Is it just me, or does his whole demeanor and the way he answered seem to indicate his absolute hatred for both my presence and my question? Maybe he just comes across like that. Maybe I'm completely misanalyzing the whole situation. Or maybe he is upset at my daring to question his authority.
Hey, I'm a cop, and you will respect my authority.
As a common citizen. I don't know. I'm just throwing out possibilities. I thought it was funny. Hey, one more time just because I can. If you were ordered to unconstitutionally confiscate firearms from law-abiding citizens, either going door to door or person to person, would you comply with that order?
No comment.
No comment? Thank you. Here's a quick peek at the recently applied policy to the questions I'm asking. You can pause here, or you can read it at the end of the video, along with listening to my beliefs and my opinions on the subject, should you so desire. But here's a few more deputies enacting this newly applied policy. How's it going? Hey, I gotta ask you, I know you can decline. The Sheriff's Department's taking a kind of cowardly approach on this versus HPD, but I'm gonna ask anyway so I can get everybody on camera declining, so when I come in and ask the Sheriff my questions, being a voter here in Henderson, everybody can see what the Sheriff's position is on it. So here's what I want to ask you, and you can decline, but let me ask.
Okay.
If you were ordered to violate the Constitution, to go door to door or person to person, and confiscate firearms from otherwise law-abiding citizens, so how would you like to answer, sir?
Again, as you know, I'm not going to answer that.
Oh, that's what I needed to know. Thank you very much, sir. You have a good day. Hey, can I get your name and badge number?
Dwight Duncan, 125.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Let's see which one this is. Oh, well, we'll get Colonel Crafton, too, while I'm here. How you doing today, sir? I'm good. Hey, listen, I want to ask you anyway.
You know we can't comment.
Well, I'd like to ask the question. Can you let me do that?
Sorry.
Well,
We've got a specific policy against
right, I know. I just did an open records request for it. But let me ask you anyway. Would you violate the Constitution to confiscate firearms?
I'm not going to make any comments.
Not going to make any comments?
I have to follow our policy.
See, the reason why I ask is because then everybody can see the position of the Sheriff's Department.
It's up to the sheriff to make statements as far as
Okay. Can I get your name and badge number?
Brooks Young, 124.
Hey, let me ask you a question. You can decline. Would you violate the Constitution and go door to door to confiscate people's firearms even though they weren't criminals? And I know what you're going to answer, but here's why I'm asking, just so you know. It's because a lot of sheriff's departments around the country are making a stand and saying, hey, we won't do that. We'll make ourselves a Second Amendment sanctuary city. And I support the Constitution, and I know that you guys have policies, but I feel like everybody should get to see you saying yes or no or decline.
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't make public statements about our policies and whatnot.
Or your opinions on Second Amendment.
Yes.
Okay. You have a nice day. You guys have a nice day.
Regarding the policy. Oops, I forgot to give a warning to anyone out there that doesn't want to listen. Now's the time to stop, because I'm going to keep talking. Regarding the policy reads to me as a specific policy prohibiting the staff from speaking about upcoming actions, activities, operations, private and sensitive intel, etc. In no way do I see this policy as anything prohibiting specific deputies from voicing their opinions about the Second Amendment or their choice as to whether to follow an order requiring them to violate it and go door to door confiscating law-abiding citizens' firearms. If I was asking, would your department ever do such and such, then I'd say this policy would prohibit such. Or, if I was asking when and where they plan a future drug raid, then absolutely this applies. However, the wording alone does not, in my opinion. I could tell you that you aren't allowed to drink water on Wednesday, and then tell you later that that also meant that any foods that have water in them or on them you can't eat, or if they were boiled in water, because you might receive water from them as you eat them. But that's probably just me trying to adapt a policy incorrectly to suit my current needs. As always, though, you can believe as you so desire. A couple specific sections here. Quote, concerning the plans, policies, or affairs of the administration of the sheriff's office. Unquote. My inquiry is more about the individual deputy's willingness to be a blind order follower, sheeptard, tyrant, versus being willing to stand up for both we the people and the U.S. Constitution. It is not, as the words state, concerning the policies of the sheriff's department or the affairs of the department, nor is it requesting information about future activities. I'm asking about their intent and willingness. Next quote. Quote, it is not the duty of any deputy to answer such questions. Absolutely not their duty, Colonel Crafton. But the cowardice, fear, running away, etc. speaks a lot for itself, I would say. Further, it isn't the, quote, duty, unquote, of any citizen to aid you or your deputies, nor anyone else wearing a badge, if you're under fire, or if your lives or safety are in jeopardy. Nor is it the duty of any citizen to aid you or your fellow badge wearers in an investigation of any crime, or give them information that might help solve a crime. So according to you, Colonel Crafton, if it's not specifically your, quote, duty, unquote, you shouldn't do it. Correct, Colonel? I'm assuming the elected official known as the sheriff is also supporting this approach. I'm sure you've all heard the statement, just because you can do something doesn't mean you necessarily should. What about just because it's not necessarily your duty nor job doesn't mean you necessarily shouldn't do it? Next, I absolutely am under the belief that this is simply a, quote, free pass, unquote, card given to them by their boss and or bosses to give them deniability with refusal to answer. I wouldn't doubt if Harmon, you remember from my Cop Watch number 10, who ran away, or another, whined about being asked such questions, or the sheriff didn't like them answering. So the sheriff or Colonel Crafton decided to give them an out or excuse for not answering. Of course you can argue it applies here, but I would say it is at best a very weak attempt to apply this policy incorrectly, as they are, and would be willing to bet that within both context and wording it was not intended for such application, and only now is this policy claiming to be so broadly covering of such statements and responses. I would label it an overt attempt to misapply policy, contrary to logic, wording, meaning, and intent. But that's just me. Again, you believe as you want. However, I'm certain the following questions aren't a violation of their alleged prohibiting policy. Laughable in my opinion, but we'll go with that as being true for the purposes of my new questions. 1. Do you believe you have an oath to uphold and defend the U.S. Constitution? 2. Do you believe in the Second Amendment right of all citizens? Those will be my new questions for the deputies. I've also indicated my intent to speak directly with the sheriff if he has the courage to answer a few questions that they claim should be directed to him. That is not at the top of my list currently. First, I'd like to document if their deputies either cowardly flee, as I believe at least one of them has so far, or if they're willing to answer the questions that obviously wouldn't apply to their policy prohibitions. Let them be seen, let them be heard, or let them be seen running away. I'll document it either way. Accountability to the people.
Respect my authority!
Ow! 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 Ow!
Sometimes upholding the law is messy, but you get by one day at a time.